Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Jim Dar's Tone Shifter channel, where we show you how to take any guitar and make it sound and play better. So join me in the Guitar Cabin, our musical sanctuary from day-to-day life, as we explore another really cool guitar project. I'm excited. Let's get to it. Well, welcome back to the BasketCase Les Paul. Can it be saved from the trash? Yeah, we did it. Since last time, I've applied some more finish to the back. I've decided to smooth it out a little more, which I did. Hopefully you can see that. I put the electronics in it. I changed the tuners out using the existing mounting holes in back. I've got it so you can see the serial number. I buffed it. I put it together. I've adjusted these two adjustments here. I've adjusted the intonation. And the intonation is surprisingly decent. I wouldn't call it good. I wouldn't call it great. Somebody with a much better ear than I have will probably want to put an adjustable type bridge like a Pigtail or a Tone Pros or something like that on it. And I certainly understand that. But I was able to source a very lightweight original style bridge combo, and it actually intonates decently. It intonates fairly well, so happy with that. Look-wise, this replacement pickguard, the holes fit exactly, so I didn't have to do any drilling. I had to move the jack mounting plate so it was more centered. Otherwise it was leaning a little bit. It was a little bit proud here where it should have been back a little bit. The control cavities, the control knobs and the potentiometers are all 500K audio taper. Alpha knobs, they're alpha potentiometers. Alpha potentiometers. Is it a good player? Yeah, it feels pretty good to me. It sounds fantastic, which I'll share with you in a little bit. But what's different is the back and the neck. The neck has a full profile. I gave you the dimensions, I think, in the last episode. The back is almost at a full depth, just maybe a 1/16 of an inch shy, which is good. The guitar sounds good acoustically. The guitar sounds fantastic electrically, which I'll show you some sound bites here in a little bit. It's been a long project. I ended up using the old Keystone style tuners. These are new imported ones with, I believe, an 18:1 ratio. The Grovers that I had on there were patent pending ones, and they're probably worth more separately. Plus, they had a 12:1 ratio, I believe, either a 12:1 or a 10:1. Somebody who knows for sure, let me know. I guess I could check on the tuner itself, but I'm a little too lazy to do that. So I think let's say it's a 12:1 ratio. So these are much finer tuning machines with a higher ratio, and they look good, and they look like what was on there, except what was on there had the double rings. This has a single ring, and the Keystone or Tulip, whatever you want to call it, on here is a little greenish looking. The guitar still has its flaws. The guitar still has its flaws for sure, but I left them in there on purpose, where I was just striving with this guitar to make it as functional and playable as possible. So I think I did a pretty good job. I think we got lucky. Having the knowledge, the experience, especially having the tools, really makes a big difference. So today we're going to have a quick summary of what this guitar came in like and the process that it went through. We're going to have a close look at the guitar, which we just kind of did. We're going to have a close look at the guitar. Still have to do two small things to it, and that is get a truss rod cover for it, which I'll buy, and then I need to make a switch cavity cover, which I'll actually make that, but for right now it plays great. The other cover I already trimmed to fit. So it fits really nicely, looks good. Now let's take a look back at some shots that we've done during the restoration process. You can see it was badly sanded in the back. It was sanded to deeper than 1 inch left on the top. You can see we're starting to use the sander, the drum sander, to smooth that out. So we're making some good progress here. You can see we're getting flatter and flatter. There's still a couple of deep divots that we'll have to make patches for, otherwise the guitar would be ruined trying to sand that additional 1/4 of an inch. There's the back joined, and trying to do a dry fit on the neck to make sure everything lines up. The neck joint, the iron removing the veneers that the previous owner added, looking at the various stages of the neck and what's happened there. Now we take a look at the 1/2 inch wide route I did through the neck to add depth and strength back. This is the top side of it. You can see it's fit pretty well to the neck with no big gaps. Smoothing the wood down to have a nice full C-shaped neck. Took a lot of time and effort, but I think I got it correct. Trimming the elevator plate down. Trimming the edges of the body. Here's the old front and the new back. The new neck joint. A bird's eye view of the straightness of the neck. Some of the patches and work we did to install that. Now there's some trimming and smoothing and sanding and smoothing and blending that all go into making it a acceptable guitar. Here we are in the finish stage process. Some of the very, very early coats. Some of the very, very early coats. Looking good. For a complete view, just go back to all the other episodes I did, starting with episode where I bought the guitar and was waiting for it to arrive, and you'll see more detailed concept of what was done. And here's the back finished off with the electronics in it. A lot of people have asked me what I would do differently, or how would I approach this differently having gone through the project. And that's something that everybody should go through who's taking on a project for a guitar. You want to be able to say, hey, this worked out well, this didn't work out, this was, yeah, kind of okay. So what I would do differently on this, first of all, it arrived to me with the fingerboard off, the truss rod out, and a small 1/4 inch skunk stripe in the back of the neck installed, which really wasn't quite high enough or deep enough, depending upon how you look at it, to do the job. So what I would have done differently, had that not happened, had it arrived in my hands in the condition, in the state of finishedness or had it arrived differently to me, I would have not taken the truss rod out. I would have not taken the fingerboard off. I would have let that original, because that was still totally functional. What I would have done is where the truss rod was exposed right in here, I would have routed down on either side of the rod to the point where I got it flat here and put a U-shaped piece of wood on there and built the back up that way. So I wouldn't be adding any height to the front. But it actually was good because the action was so low without this, what I'm calling the elevator plate, which is a plate that runs underneath the fingerboard. It wouldn't have had enough clearance here to get good action. Now I'm up a little high, good medium action, but I wouldn't have been able to bring it down any lower than this, I don't think, had I not done that. So that was a good plan. So what I would have done differently, based on how it arrived to me, I would have put a two-way truss rod in. Let's face it, the truss rod that I put in, basically it starts here, goes down, just follow the tip of this. It starts here, goes down at an angle like that, and then ends up back in the guitar. So there's a very, very shallow radius. And the intent is you tighten it up, it pushes this way. It was acting as a compression rod. So it was straightening the neck this way, but not necessarily forcing it up here. And I think that was because of the reason where I came in too shallow of an angle here. I should have been a little deep when I drilled the hole for the truss rod. But it works. It's set up with 1046 right now. It works, plays well. Some people may like the action a little higher. Some people may want it a little lower, but have your tech do that should you be the one ending up with this guitar at some point. If I ever had an issue with it, I would take the fingerboard off. I would take the truss rod out. I would use the existing channel for the truss rod and put a two-way adjustable in there. Two-way adjustables are really the way to go now. Now this neck actually seems to be fairly stable at this point. Can't make any guarantees to myself or anybody else about that, but hopefully it'll stay that way. Worst case, absolute worst case, it needs a little more work and needs to have a two-way truss rod put in, which is not a big deal. All in all, the project went as planned. The only real curve in the road or curveball that I got was the truss rod, but I think it's working pretty well now. The guitar sounds great acoustically, tap tone wise. It's pretty resonant. But anyway, there you go. Gibson, Kalamazoo made, Georgia fixed, 1974 Les Paul Special 55. This was the very first year of the reissue of the 1950s Les Paul Specials. These pickups sound great in my opinion. And I think most people will agree. It's got the quack, it's got the growl, it's got the bite, it's got the softness that P90s, good P90s are known for. So let's take a listen to see what this guitar sounds. So much of talking, the proof is in the pudding, and I like the pudding. And now, the moment we've been waiting for a long time. This guitar hasn't been played, I don't know, in maybe 10 years. I don't know when the original reconfiguration, when they sanded down the back and sanded down the neck, took place, but it's been a long time since we know it came into Trogly's hands. So today, here we go. Get ready. What? It's not working. What? What? Oh. Forgot to turn the volume up. Okay, let's take a listen to the different pickups. This is the neck pickup. And by the way, I'm going through an original USA made Blues Deluxe at a fairly clean setting right now, but I think we can overdrive it by hitting some heavy strums. Okay, this is both pickups. Bridge pickup. turn the gain up on the amp a little bit, and we'll be able to hear the difference. Hear it growl, growl. We'll hear it growl, 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 growl. It'll sound good. Okay, I turned the volume up just a touch, and I turned the master gain up just a touch, but you'll be able to hear the difference. Wow. Well, there you go. I'm not the best player in the world, but I think I did a pretty good job making this guitar come back to life. The neck feels fantastic. The finish work, I actually intentionally left it a little less glossy than I would normally, and I left a little swirls in there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's just to simulate somebody wiping the guitar down that was a little scratchy throughout the years. We see this a lot on guitars, and I think it'll help age and have a nice patina to it. I'm not going to I don't think I'm going to distress it, because I kind of like natural playing wear and dings and drops and things like that to happen. But this guitar is back. I think it sounds pretty good. I think the pickups sound fantastic. The goal of my pickups, the way I designed these particular pickups, was to not make it too muddy when it was overdriven. And I think I have achieved that. You be the judge of that, or maybe the next owner of this guitar will be the ultimate judge of that, whether he keeps these pickups in or not. I think they sound good. I think the guitar plays pretty good. Action is, I would call it a medium action. It's about 0.065 maybe. But the neck appears to be straight under tension, and the new tuners seem to be working out pretty well. So after all these weeks, actually all these months, we're finally coming to an end here and a close. The only thing left remaining is to decide on a new name for this. You guys have come up with some good examples. I appreciate every one of them. I'm leaning between two and want your opinion on them. One is, somebody said, why not just call it BasketCase? That's what it's known for. That's a reasonable thought and a reasonable idea. One of the other ones was Two-Face. I really like it because you've got two faces to the guitar. You've got, let me turn the volume down here. Because you've got two faces of the guitar. You've got the original finish, the original look, so it looks like it was made in 1974, which it was. It looks like it's actually been played guitar, which it was. It looks like it's actually been a loved guitar, which it was, it wasn't, it was, it wasn't, it was. Now on the back, on the second face, you've got the cutaway that I put in here, the angle cut, which actually plays fantastic. I know Gibson's doing a couple of things similar, and some of the other manufacturers are too, but this one with an SG type style joint, a tenon joint, actually worked out pretty well for access to the upper register. So that's part of the two-face, the second face, and it's also a translucent, it's a very, it's an opaque-like translucent finish where you can still see the grain. I know in the camera it's going to show up as black. It's really brown black. It's really got some red in it too. And you can really see under the right lighting conditions that the figure of the wood and the grain of the wood show through. Or where it's not showing through, where I made it opaque or opaque-ish, was around the sides and around the neck joint here, so you wouldn't see any of the work that was done. Well, the next project is coming up. Stay tuned to the station. I'll be taking a look at this FireFly FF. I think it's a 338. Obviously it's a 335 copy. And I'll be talking to you about what all the hype is about this guitar. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the fantastic, because there's a little bit of all in each one of these. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to work on this project with you. I appreciate all the comments and suggestions that people have had. And I really want to say thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, for showing interest, for asking questions, for questioning what I was doing and why I was doing it. That's important to have that conversation. And my intent of this particular project was to show you how I would approach a restoration of a guitar like this, trying to preserve as much of the originality as possible without sacrificing the playability. So I think we did it, as I said earlier. If you don't jump into something and start working at it, you'll probably never will. So if you got a project like this and it's too much for you, let me know. Maybe I can handle it and we can walk through the process again on another guitar, another example, another specimen. So keep playing, share, be kind, learn something new every day. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Please like, please comment. Have a safe day. Thank you. And remember, we make pickups.